Hey everyone, welcome to the one more interview for the Java EEH, the next frontier project. And today we have our guest here. I think he's a unique guy because he's Java champion and MVP. I don't know if there's another guy like that in the world today. I have the pleasure to have my friend here, Mr. Edson Yanaga. Edson, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And it's a pleasure to have you here. And thank you for your time. I know that you are very busy. We have been traveling a lot. And thank you for finding a space in our agenda for us.
Okay, thank you, Eder. Thank you, everybody that is watching us. In fact, it's a pleasure for me to be here, talking a bit about Java EE. And yes, I've been traveling quite a bit, so I've met many people. And I hope to be able to meet a lot of more people in the next few weeks. But now I'm available here to talk today about Java EE8, and that's an awesome opportunity.
Okay, so Edson, we are almost in the release date. Maybe Java 8 will be available maybe July, August, something like that. What are your expectations related to this new version, to this release?
Okay, in the past few years, I guess people believe that Java EE development was stalled. So I guess we didn't have much expectations around Java EE8 in terms of revolutions or big specifications. In fact, I think that Java EE8 will be more of like we're just trying to get the ball rolling again and provide some updates to existing specifications and maybe provide a few more new ones. And the big releases probably will come with Java EE 9, which we expect to come like next year or maybe in 2 years.
Yes, and then so it took a long time since the Java 7, maybe 4 years, I think. And it brings lot of expectation from the developers, from the vendors. I think that's huge expectation will work for better or good in terms of adoption, in terms of the migration. What do you think about it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the things that is important for us when we're discussing Java EE is to establish some context. Because if we roll back some good years in the past, we see the environment in which Java EE was created. In that moment, J2EE was that we had a huge monopoly by Microsoft, and MTS, Microsoft Transaction Server, was the dominant player in enterprise environments. So at the moment, it had this big opportunity to create new standards to leverage this new technology of Java in the enterprise space. Join together like Elder, just in case you want to mute your mic, there's a lot of noise. Okay. Great. And then we had this great opportunity at that time when J2EE was created. We gathered together like companies like Sun, Oracle, IBM, and many other companies around this new ecosystem called Java, because we wanted to fight the big monopoly that at the time was Microsoft. So it was a unique momentum in the story of technology. I don't think it will happen soon again, but we were able to create something big. We got some of the in the information technology field working together to create something that would leverage a new platform for creating these new kind of applications that were developed in the past like 10 to 15 years. So J2EE and later Java EE was something big and was something huge. Like it became kind of the de facto standard for developing enterprise applications. So the expectations were always high when we think about Java EE, because Java EE set a whole new standard of what an enterprise standard should be. But in fact, what we've been seeing the past few years is that we don't have that monopoly to fight anymore. We had many other different technologies coming to the enterprise space that could be feasible options for developing. Middleware technologies have evolved so much in the past few years too. So it's also suggested new ways of developing enterprise software. And I don't think the Java EE standard is losing power or influence. Is that now we have a much more balanced marketplace for enterprise tools for develop enterprise applications. And in fact, I think that Java EE now, it's a very good and solid platform for developing enterprise applications. The problem is that, as I said before, I don't think we will ever have such a big technology like J2EE. So Java EE, many people think that it might be getting less attention, but just because it's an established platform for developing applications. So if you think about technology too, if you measure how successful a technology is when you forget to hear many news about that because it became something established. But of course, it doesn't mean that we don't have room for improvement. So I think that especially in the past 4 years, many different things happens, and to a certain point, many people were right to complain to Oracle why the Java EE standard wasn't going forward. And we can't expect to have the same pace as a non-proprietary format or an open source project, but we certainly could have had a better pace in developing some specifications. And we're just happy that it's happening now. And I've spoken so much, I even forgot what was the question. I hope I have answered that.
Yes, that good answer. Asking about the long time that took from the last version, and then what kind of adoption the market will have right now. So you said about technologies, and we have that old story that is pretty against Java EE, especially on the J2EE times. Many Java developers migrated to Spring. Do you have that the new version, and maybe the next one will bring some developers back to J2EE, or you think that J2EE, not the Java EE, or you think that the both technologies will have this world, just all applications and in the markets and whatever?
Okay. Yes, I can. Well, I can give my personal opinion on that. I've been a Spring developer for the past like 10 years, I guess. So I'm a big fan of the Spring technology. But if we think about the context of Java software, I think we should be very happy to have both Java EE and Spring, because we always have like competing technology stacks to be pushing forward each other. So when kind of Spring was kind of stuck in some old concepts, Java EE was available to push it forward. Then when Java EE was kind of stuck in the past, like when it was J2EE, Spring was able to push it forward. Now we have this kind of healthy competition between two different standards. And I think for most teams is a matter of taste. Of course, in the past few years, when people were discussing about microservices and everything else, people were so excited about using fat jars or adopting the Netflix OSS stack that they thought, oh, maybe this is another approach. Things like using Spring Boot and Spring Cloud were a better approach for developing microservices. And maybe for some of these things it was true, but I don't think like suitable for this kind of development. I think with the latest trends that we have in middleware technology, I truly believe that it's becoming much more a matter of taste. So as a hardcore Spring fan, I have to admit that some things in the Java EE space, they are especially attractive, like CDI 2.0, that's going to be released with Java EE 8. It is a very well-defined specification. CDI 2.0 is so powerful. It made me like it because I was used to the Spring dependency injection framework, and now with CDI 2.0, I can see that it's very powerful, maybe even more powerful than the Spring dependency injection. So I think that at the current point, as we are in the technology field, I think it might be a matter of choice, because many capabilities that people thought that would be only possible with like tools like the Netflix OSS stack, like Hystrix and Eureka and Ribbon and everything else, they're all being handled these days by tools which we could say that they are on the middleware level. So we don't have to code that anymore. So while Spring coding approach, for many of these infrastructure details, I think that they are better handled by middleware or infrastructure. So we have tools like Envoy, Istio, Linkerd. I think they're probably better solutions for tracing, circuit breaking, load balancing, and service discovery than just using code. But again, I think it's still a matter of choice. So all of this fight between this one is better, the other one is better, or yada yada yada, I think we're just getting into a flame war again. I think they're both equally competitive standards or technologies, and we can adopt each one of them depending on how feasible they are for a specific use case. I always like to say that I used to be a consultant, and I always have to say that when people ask me for a solution, I always had to say that it really, all the times, it depends on your business use case. And I can't just recommend a technology because I like it, because I have to check all of the variables on your development process, development environments, the solutions that you have to provide. So again, I think it really depends on how your development scenario to choose and pick one of them, because I think both are great.
Got it. And you mentioned about microservice, and we have those buzzwords today like microservice, containers, and now microprofile. Do you think that Java EE8 is some kind of more suitable for those technologies, for those words? Or maybe we should wait for the Java EE9 to be more compatible, more suitable?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. As I said, some people think that we should be adopting inside Java EE features from the Netflix OSS stack that just I said. Hystrix for circuit breaking, or Eureka for service discovering, or Ribbon for client-side load balancing, or Zipkin for tracing, or these kind of things. And some people think that Java EE should be standardizing these things to be used in code or to be supported by the platform. I think that some of these things could be incorporated in the standard, but I also think that many of these aspects are already being dealt by technologies, as I said, sidecar containers, or even client-side proxies. And I've been having a discussion with some teams, and of course, some people believe that these problems, they should be solved by code, inside your application. I think that in many cases, it just turns your code booky and hard to read. And some other teams, they think that it should be handled by infrastructure. as they are doing today, like teams from Spotify, Lyft. They are using technologies like Linkerd and Envoy to solve these problems at the infrastructure level using client-side proxies. So in this way, developers, they don't need to deal with that in their code. You can just rely on plain infrastructure, and you have all of these functionalities out of box. And if you think about client-side proxies, they are even more suitable for microservice architectures because you're not tied to a single technology. You could be using your standard Java EE stack, you could be adopting Spring Boot, you could be programming in Python, you could be programming in Go or something else. All of these laws at their low level, like circuit breaking, tracing, etc., they can be handled by the infrastructure instead of your application. So if people are expecting from Java EE 9 to be focusing on this kind of things, as I said, circuit breaking, client-side load balancing, and other stuff, I don't think it should be handling that. I think it would be much more interesting if for the next release, Java EE 9, they could be focusing on the deployment perspective of the specification. Like how well is it packaged inside a container? Or how well it could be packaged as fat jars if container is not an option for you? Or how well do they integrate with memory limits in containers? How well can you do horizontal scalability? Yes, I think these are major concerns instead of just trying to add stuff like circuit breaking and tracing to the specification. But certain things like Java EE 9, health checking, I think it's good because any runtime environment that we have these days, they need some kind of health checks. So this part that deals with infrastructure and the deployment scenario, I think it's more important and then specifying things in the code level, because this problem, I truly believe that's going to be solved by client-side proxies.
Got it. Talking a little about career, do you see any career opportunities with this new release for people that maybe will work on migration or even that want to start from scratch to Java EE? How do you see the market for the developers that will work on this new release?
Mm-hmm. Well, Java EE is still the most popular technology stack for developing enterprise applications in the world. And not only Java EE, I think if you think about market and career perspectives, Java enterprise developers are one of the top paid developers worldwide. And if talking, but we have to be aware that when we're pushing like a new Java EE specification, it takes some years for enterprise software companies, the companies that spend a lot of money in software to adopt a new platform. So many of them are still getting into or are currently running their systems on the Java EE 7 specification after 4 years of the Java EE 7 release. So if you think about Java EE software, we will have many companies that are still stuck with J2EE specifications. That's of course my opinion. That's where a great part of the money is being spent. So if you stick to the Java EE standard, and the good thing about that is the Java EE standard is always backward compatible, so you never lose the knowledge that you gained before. I think you have more opportunities if you want to work for the enterprise software space. For startups, maybe they are requiring other kinds of skills, but what I've seen in the enterprise software market, they're not changing their stack so soon. The gross money is still going to be spent on the Java EE stack for like many years. I think both you and I, we're going to retire before any other technology takes the Java EE space, at least on enterprise.
Hope you're right, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what about the migration process? Do you think the developers will have a hard time from migrating from 7 to 8? Do you know anything about tooling? Or I don't know. I mean, the process will be smoothly or hard times to do it.
Yeah, I expect it to be very smooth because we don't have major changes from Java EE 7 to Java EE 8. Maybe some clarifications, but most of the specifications are just like minor releases. CDI, I think it's a major release, but it's backward compatible. So I expect software to run out of the box and for you to be able to benefit from the new functionalities as soon as they are released. Of course, with the new specifications, if you're thinking about code, most of the specifications now they adopted Java SE 7, Java SE 8 streams and lambdas features. So it will be a nice addition for you to be able to use many new APIs that are using Java SE 8 APIs too. So, but again, it's backward compatible, so I expect the transition to be very smooth.
Got it. So you are a director on Red Hat, and you can say anything about some new versions for Wildfly, JBoss, for compatible versions of those application servers or any other product. There are any plans? Do you know something about it?
Well, yeah, I think, well, it's very complicated. I don't have, I can't like say any dates about that because it really depends on the product management part. But of course, Red Hat is one of the great sponsors of the Java EE specification, and we have a tradition of releasing as soon as possible new versions of our application servers or our middleware compatible with the new versions. In fact, if you think about the greatest addition of Java EE 8 is CDI 2.0 and Servlet 4.0. And CDI 2.0, the specification lead is Red Hat. So you could be using CDI 2.0 in your enterprise application service like JBoss or Wildfly today. So yes, that's what I can tell about the Red Hat products and projects because I don't have third information about it. Can't comment.
Oh, that's great. That's fine. No, that's fine. That's fine. That's totally fine. We have, for me, great news last week that Java EE is migrating to GitHub. I think that's already migrated to GitHub. Do you think that will bring the community more closer to the specification? Maybe in Java 9, the developers will get more involved. What do you think about it? Because I think that GitHub is a great tool for sharing, for participating. What do you think it will work together with Java EE specification?
Okay. Yeah, many different companies are moving to GitHub, just like Microsoft did with their projects, and they like buried their previous owned platform for this kind of developments. Oracle is doing that too because it cuts costs and it's easier for that. I have another concern is that GitHub is becoming a monopoly, but that's a discussion for another day. But if you think about the community, of course, GitHub is the largest development community, and people are used to that. People are used to using Git. People are used to opening GitHub issues. So it should be easier for people to resources, to collaborate, to maybe send pull requests and everything else. I think it's a major improvement because if you think about the previous options that we had, java.net, it was kind of stuck in the past many years ago. And anything that changed that scenario would be for the better. And GitHub currently, of course, it's the best option. I think it was a great move. I expect people to be able to have a common endpoint for reaching out resources and getting the right information, and possibly collaborating as well.
Yeah. And talking about resources, are there any resources that you recommend for people that want to learn about Java EE or even Java E8? Feel free to talk about your book, okay, say about it.
Of course.
But any kind of resource, books or blogs or whatever.
Yes, let me, I'll just change my name here. Yeah. Okay. And of course, I have to recommend to you the developers.redhat.com. We have a blog where we blog at a lot of things, and many of them are related to Java EE technologies and standards. I'm also a great fan of best coding practices and everything else. I consider myself a software craftsman, so best coding practices and techniques is one of my like favorite things that I have in the development world. So and I've decided that this year I would be trying to share many different contents about how can you correctly apply these clean code practices, these domain-driven design practices into your Java EE code. So expect a lot of articles from me on the developers.redhat.com blog. And of course, I have to share because since everybody is discussing microservices this day, I just released 2 months ago a new ebook from O'Reilly, which is migrating to microservice databases, in which I tackle the specific problem of if I have a huge old legacy monolith that I want to split into microservices, how do I deal with my old legacy monolithic relational database? So I try to answer some questions regarding this problem, and they were all released in this book. Unfortunately, I gave all of the hard copies that I had, so I don't have any of them to show right now on the video. But if you just go to the developers.redhat.com website, or if you don't find the link because I think there's still a bug there, you can go to my Twitter account @Yanaga. Of course, I have to suggest for you to follow me because I talk a lot about Java, Java EE, domain-driven design, DevOps, and microservices. But the pinned tweet of my account is the link to my ebook. And Red Hat developers bought the royalties for the book, so it's available for free for you to download on the website. And I think that's the 2 main resources for me. I also have a blog, yanaga.com.br in Portuguese and yanaga.me, in which I blog about these technologies also.
I started reading last week. It's a very good book.
Oh, awesome! Thank you very much.
I really enjoy it.
Oh, you have a hard copy?
No, you didn't give it to me.
Okay, not yet because I didn't meet you. But
okay.
Until this is São Paulo, I'll be there and I'll bring you a hard copy.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yanaga, you have any final thoughts, words, hints, tips for developers, for people that are watching us today?
Yes, well, the final words, I don't think Java EE is dead. We're far from that. In fact, as I said, we're all going to retire. Well, not all, maybe have some babies being born right now, but both me and Eder, we will both retire before Java EE is a thing of the past. And it's good to see that things are moving forward. So if you think, and I had to give, I said a bit before, but the 2 biggest additions of the new specification are CDI 2.0, which is very powerful, and now CDI 2.0 is not restricted to a Java EE environment. If you want to have a standalone Java SE application, you can use CDI in your application too. And specifically for this new large-scale environment that we have today, I think that the next big addition to Java EE8 is Servlet 4.0 with the support for HTTP2. then HTTP2 is, I think it's a big improvement from the last version, because it will speed up the throughput of our web applications. And you know, these days everybody's talking about scalability, and Servlet 4.0 we will definitely help that. And yeah, and again, it's a motivation quote. I think you should keep thinking about Java, because Java E8 is going to be here for a long time. And at least I can tell for sure that SouJava, both Elder and I were members of SouJava. And I can say, as for me, as from Red Hat, from the personal side too, we are going to push Java forward for the next year. So I think you should too.
Yeah, definitely. That's why we are doing this initiative for the Java E8 in the next frontier, talking to top developers from the world. And I'm very happy to be talking with you today. Thank you very much again for the opportunity and for your time. It was a pleasure, and see you in the next conference, maybe TDC.
Yeah, well, I have to thank you. Thank you very much for the time and opportunity. It was awesome to be here today, and I hope to meet you, Elder, and many people that are watching us in the next conferences.
Yeah, see you, Edson. And guys, thank you very much for your time. If you haven't subscribed on the YouTube channel from SouJava, click here, down here, and see you in the next interview. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.